Hi everyone, this is Richard. In this video, we're going to be improving the pregnancy calculator. There's a number of things that we can actually do to make this a little bit better. We can use CSS to make it a little pretty, make it a little bit more easy to read. We've done a little of that before. I'm going to actually just go ahead and go back to some of the basics and changing some of these variables to private variables. If we take a look at this, we can say, let's just go here and say var pregnant equals new pregnancy. And then I'll say pregnant dot, and I take a look at the possible instance variables right here. There's a lot of them, right? So remember, the whole point of private variables is you want to preserve the namespace. If I don't need to access some of these values, I don't want to have the values visible to me. So in the future, in another library, I could use LMP in a local library in right here, like a file like pregnancy.dart, but it won't be polluting the main.dart file. So how do I hide this and keep it just in this local file? Well, several ways of doing it. So it's right here. This is where I both initialize it as well as declare it. Right click, rename, and remember how to do private variables, underscore, enter, and it just changes it wherever you need to go. It just changes it all through. This is a separate LMP here. Remember, lexical scope, once you get out of these curly brackets, it gets deleted. So this is more of a local variable. It's not the same thing, but here is where we use underscore LMP. So here, if we try looking for it again, underscore LMP is not there, or LMP is no longer there because it's a private variable and it only stays within the pregnancy.dart file. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, what if somebody was already using right here pregnant.lmp, right? So let's go back here and let's rename it. What if they were already using this .lmp right here? For some reason, they had access to that variable and they were using it. Well, that's a problem, right? Because we're going to be breaking their code. Because they're going to be looking for LMP, but we just broke it. We just changed it to underscore and made it hide. So their code is going to be all messed up because we made some changes. So that's the whole point, if you remember in previous videos, with the versioning itself. So before 1.0, we're going to say that the API, the interface, is going to continue to change. So don't rely on these things. Don't rely too heavily on, where are we? Underscore LM of using LMP, because I might take it away. All right. But what if we already are at version, for example, 1.1.2? Again, we don't want to go to version 2 just yet because we don't want to break our existing code. So how do we do that? If you remember from the previous video in the Learn to Program in Dart, the command line, what we could do is we could use additional getters. So get underscore LMP, and it'll return LMP. Right? Does that actually work? It should work. And here I would say, actually, let's do it this way. Let's change this to underscore LMP. So we'll change it everywhere. And then what I'm going to go ahead and say, change this back to standard LMP. Then I'm going to change it to date time get underscore LMP. So I just went ahead and changed this, and I'm going to use a getter to say underscore LMP will return LMP. So the program will still work. Nothing is broken. Okay, nothing is broken. But at the same time, if you go here and you say .lmp, it's still there. Well, wait a minute. What's going on here? Remember, we're not actually removing the LMP yet. Okay, because this is what we'll call deprecated. We will say in our documentation, okay, stop using this in the future because I'm going to get rid of it. So if you are using it up here as .lmp, then I'm going to say, you better get rid of that code because in the next version, we're going to stop using it. It may be a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, whenever, stop using it. Okay, so that's the whole concept. So if we remove it then, so one day we say, okay, well, I guess we won't need this anymore. This is version 2.0. We'll just go ahead and remove this part. And we'll put the underscore here. Hang on. Save all. And this should work perfectly fine as well. Hang on. Getting click happy here. Here we go. And it should work perfectly fine. Okay, but if you go here and you try to new pregnancy and then say a.lmp, it's no longer there as well. Okay, so what I could just go ahead and do for everything, because this is version actually 0.1.2, and the APIs, the interfaces are all not set in stone, all of these, I could just go ahead and change everything, because I warned everybody, hey, don't be too stuck on these instance variables. Don't worry too much about the interface, or at least don't be too stuck with them because I'm going to actually change them. We could change almost everything right here. What do we not want to change? Well, we don't want to make EGA weeks, days. We don't want that to be a private variable, right? Because we're using it in a different file. And we don't want EDD. So everything else we could pretty much make just a private variable itself. Future date, right here. By the way, can you change it right here? So even though you're declaring it right here, can you change it right here? Well, let's find out. Any instance of future date on there, and you change it, and it'll change it right there. So you actually can. So checkbox date, do we need checkbox date? So are we using checkbox date? No, we're re-declaring it right here. So here, we don't have to have it as a global variable. We'll make it nice and private. EGA, I think we needed EGA up here. No, EDD, EGA, we don't actually need EGA. Rename it here. EGA weeks, we need that, right? Date formatter, we don't need that. Right click, rename. Formatter, future date. I don't think we needed future date. We just need EGA weeks and EDD. That's all we need, right? Future date. Actually, wait a minute. Future date. I think we do need future date. I think we actually do need that. So let's go back. I do need a future date. This should not work. It does actually work though. Future date, checkbox date, future date right here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. This variable, this function is still working. The variable is not is a private variable, but the function it still is. So if I went here, here's the function right here. That's why you have to keep the namespaces clean because it's very easy to confuse these. Underscore that one. Yes. Oh, did you just see that, by the way? Let me do that again. The Atom editor really is helping us out. So we right click it and we say, okay, I want to change this to underscore, make it a private function, right? And I'm sorry, you might have to go back on it. What it basically says is you're actually using this in other files. Are you sure you want to change it? And I'm going to say, yes, I want to change it. But this is unfortunately is going to break the code now because here we're actually using future date itself, but it's giving you an error. It's not defined because it's a private variable and it's only here and it gets deleted once we get out of pregnancy.dart. Once we get to the next file, main.dart, it's missing itself. So it doesn't actually run. So I'll go back to here and I'll rename it. So listen to those warnings themselves. EDD, we can change that. Okay, I don't think the rest of the video is going to be all that exciting. I think I'm just going to, oh, wait a minute, EDD. No, we actually need that. So it is accessed in pregnancy.dart as well as main.dart. So no, I don't want to change that. Okay, so we pretty much everything important we have. So let's go back to main.dart and we could say A equals new pregnancy. A dot, what are our options? EDD, EGA weeks. That's it. All of these are basically global methods themselves. So we really cleaned up the namespace so we can use those names for future adjustments, whatever we want to do by cleaning it up. Okay, so we didn't do much. We didn't do anything new today. We just cleaned up the pregnancy calculator just so that, again, we make it more adaptable for the future. Okay, thank you.